I'll just do the YCS stuff now. Okay. So let me talk to y'all about what's going on in Vegas, right? So if you're unfamiliar, this weekend was YCS Vegas, which is always a blast. The 3v3 is just such a fun experience. In general, I like the concept of being able to lose a game and still win a match. That really appeals to me for some reason. Someday I'll just like ask Jesse Cotton how much it would cost for him to put me on his team and just hand me a YCS top. But not today. I was geared up to play in the 3v3 YCS main event with running it back with Gage and Alex. And then they announced the Ultimate Time Wizard event, and we immediately jumped ship. I went very hard testing for the Ultimate Time Wizard event, and I'll be posting my list and like an explanation of how I prepared and stuff for members on YouTube. But because we ate shit, I don't want to put it on my normal YouTube for normies, because what are they going to say? You ate shit, right? And they'll be correct. I want to real quick shout out the person I retained for coaching, Shinaslaw, who was without a doubt the greatest coach I've ever worked with. He was so fucking helpful. But it didn't go our way. Let me just walk you through what happened. So day one, we get there, and there was a big collaboration of Yu-Gi-Oh players. There was a big conglomerate, rather. Maybe like 10,000 Yu-Gi-Oh players all outside the main doors. We have gotten there several hours late on purpose to avoid this. And we're like, what's going on? Why is there this big conglomerate of people? And they go, they're not letting people in. And we go, oh, why are they not letting people in? And they go, well, we don't know. And so I talked to some people and find out it's because like maybe the entry packs haven't arrived or something, but like they are not letting people in for registration at this moment. So there's like 1,000 people just chilling there. So we just wait, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. And eventually, like an hour and a half later, the doors open and people kind of file inside. And in order to get in, we have to stand in this long ass line. And we find out 30 minutes into standing in this long-ass line that if we're just there for Ultimate Time Wizard, we can just walk in. So we walk in. We sign up for, or we are already signed in for Ultimate Time Wizard, but we do like a bunch of meet and greets. We do a lot of like hellos. I'm going to be posting the thread for those later in this, or later today. So if you want to post your selfies you took with me, I always love looking through those. But we were having a great time. Just chilling. I also purchased the stuff for Snake Eye Fire King. I also was like, I need to build Snake Eye Fire King just to have it. So I can go home and embarrass people at my local who are playing cheap decks, and I can go, haha, I'm rich and you're poor. That's not true. But day one, we're just having a good time. And I get in pretty late in terms of my flight, so we don't get to do too much. We do get to go to this incredible restaurant that we're going to go to immediately after this stream as well, that serves Korean Mexican fusion cuisine, and oh my fucking god, it's called Comex. It's really, really good. But so what's ended up happening is we meet up with everyone we need to. We go to bed. We're testing late into the night. We're really ready for next morning. So we hop into our round. It's meant to start at 10. It ends up starting at like 11. Big deal. That's normal YCS shit. But our first round, we play against 3 people playing the like high roll decks, like high roll strategies. I think it's Reasoning Gate. Gage plays versus a Lightsworn, and I play versus Gravekeeper. Gravekeeper in Tengu Plan is just, it tries to open Royal Tribute and just get you, right? And so I win my match because I'm playing TG Stun. Really, really good matchup against Gravekeeper. I feel good about it. And unfortunately, Gage and Alex just got high rolled, and we're like, okay, whatever, happens. You know, it happens. And so we go into round 2, and we're playing our round 2. Alex wins his match. Gage and I are in games that have not resolved. And the guy behind us goes, and that's time in the round. And we go, oh? Okay, well, I guess I'm turn 0. And the guy goes, you are not turn 0. That is not how this works. And we go, oh, well, I guess we're X2. And unfortunately, the way the Ultimate Time Wizard event was set up, X2 is not sufficient to top, really. It was only X1s were going to clear the 6-rounded tournament, and that was it. That was the whole event. I was so down on myself. If I play again, if my opponent is in chat, I imagine they're not a fan. But if my opponent hears this in any way, shape, or form, I'm so sorry. I was super unprofessional. I got like very tilted. I felt like I had put all this effort in and it had come to literally nothing. We didn't even get a single match win. And I was pissed. I tried not to be pissed at my opponent. They played correctly. They were like really aggro in game 3, and I was like, why are they playing so aggro? Like, I don't know if that's correct. It was. And so, yeah, if you were my opponent, I apologize. I was pissy for no reason. But I wasn't like, fuck you, you stupid. I was like, oh, I can't believe that's how it works. But no, it feels bad for it to have been something that was totally in our control. Like, I definitely should have like done better understanding like when time was going to expire. I could have played faster, shit like that. I was your opponent. I forgive you. I know that you weren't. Some particular reason you weren't aware of the time rules. We just weren't. I don't think we were conceptualizing time because games don't go to time as often as they do in the TCG in Ultimate Time Wizard. But the frustrating part was that there wasn't a clock for Ultimate Time Wizard, or if there was, it was invisible to us. If you'll talk to any of the players, you'll hear a bunch of complaints about time, and that's because they did not have sufficient visibility for the time, which was game determinative in almost every actual main event 3v3. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So I punk out. I go walk around. I say hi to people. Kevin is actually having a pretty good tournament. His team's doing okay, but he's undefeated on Flu of all things. And so he's in deep rounds. Gage and Alex and I decide, fuck it, and we just go get food. And then we come back and we get Kevin, and we have a good time. We also went to go to like an arcade, and I don't mean to fucking brag, okay? But Gage and I played some Ultimate, and I fucking annihilated him. It was not close. I did get annihilated in hoops. Alex out-hooped me. And in Rock Band, in which everyone stomped my shit. I think I beat 0 people. And then Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. No. Smash. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. So we go back to the YCS, and I start making plans for tomorrow. Kevin's out. And so me and Kevin and Ava decide to shack up for a 3v3. The problem is that I am playing Snake Eye. I'm sure I want to play Snake Eye, but I don't know how to play Snake Eye. I know how to play the Snake Eye stuff because of Master Duel. I know like the Master Duel combos, but I don't know how to play the Fire King stuff. And it turns out that is like super important to know. Oops, my bad. I didn't know that. So I'm like up late at night, and I'm like I'm sitting here like, oh my god, like I'm looking at Team Samurai X1 videos, like what do I do? And so I'm like labbing it. And of course it keeps. Unfortunately, it's like really late at night, and unfortunately, it's also Vegas. So I'm like a little tipsy, and I'm like I'm throwing this together. So we get there the next day at 10 a.m. and we enter our first 3v3, and I sit down against my opponent, and I'm like, this guy is going to smoke the fuck out of me. He's like a known player. He's like good. I'm like, this guy's going to smoke the fuck out of me. Game 1, he just opens it, and I don't have any non-engine. I open 5 pieces of engine. And so I scoop in order to kind of obfuscate my hand. Coder's next to me playing Flu. Maybe the guy thinks I'm on Flu. Like, he knows I'm a YouTuber. How smart could I be, right? But he sides for Snake Eye. We go to game 2, and I open a little card called Summon Limit. I'm like, I don't know. Game 3 rolls around. I open 5 pieces of non-engine, and I lose. And I'm like, well, at least that one, it feels like I didn't lose because of my own misplay. And so I'm talking to Kevin about it, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I opened 5 pieces of non-engine. He's like, that sucks. Yeah. What'd you board out? And I go, well, I boarded out of, and I realize I boarded out of 2 Diabell stars and a wanted. So I had made the decision when deck building. I was like, I want to see combo. Like, I'm going to freak out if I don't see combo. I don't know how to play this like 2-turn hand trap back and forth. So I am way in on starters. You know how some people are playing like 3 wanted, 2 Diabell star, or even less. I was playing 3 and 3. So I was like, I can safely take out 1 and 1. Like, that's not that big of a deal. And then I started thinking, well, what if I take out 1 more? And so I ended up taking out 3 pieces of engine for 3 pieces of non-engine, which is a big no-no. Don't do that. And Ava, to her credit, is like, so, but, you know, the cards you drew in your opener, that wasn't the non-engine that you boarded into, right? It wouldn't have been Diabell Star. And I go, no, it was. And, you know, that's just the way it goes. So Kevin gets insanely pissed about this, which is his right, as the duelist who won their set. And so we take a little downtime, and we enter the 1 o'clock one too. And for the first round of the 1 o'clock one, we get a bye, which, by the way, the sweetest win there is. The second round, we play against these 3 people, and I lose my match in games that I feel were out of my control. Kevin wins his match, and it comes down to Ava, who wins her match in time. By the way, time. We'll talk about time in a moment. And then we play our next match, and we sit down, and who are we sitting down across from? But Gabriel Susi, Jib, and Enzo. And we're like, oh, yeah, this is going to go well. And so I didn't know this. Gabriel Susi speaks French. Kevin speaks French. And so immediately they're like, oh, sacre bleu. And they just do their match in French. And so me and Ava are just sitting here like, what the fuck are we? I don't know what we're going to do. So Ava loses her match in about 10 minutes. And I win my game 1 in about 3 minutes. And then in game 2, Ava and I 2v1 Enzo and get to a winning position. Unfortunately, Kevin loses like a really close game 3 while we are doing this. So we don't even get to say we beat Enzo, but we were going to. But the Enzo game included the funniest play of my life, in which, and by the way, it had nothing to do with skill. He just drew poorly. It had nothing to do with skill. I like spaghettied all over him in game 1 and like figured out a way to win anyway. Like, it had nothing to do with skill whatsoever. But the third one, we're playing, and he's like thumbing through his hand, and he goes, okay, Lullaby of Obedience. If you're unfamiliar, Lullaby of Obedience, big breakout hit from this YCS. You can use it to get pretty much any card in your opponent's deck because you're just playing the mirror all day. He goes, Lullaby of Obedience, call Ash. And I go, oh my God, Snake Eye Ash? He goes, no, Ash Blossom. And Eva turns to me and goes, all right, so he's going to add Ash Blossom. Here's how the line works. And I go, don't worry. We don't have to worry about that line. And I go, I am not playing Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. And the other 2 duelists just sort of look over and they're like, huh? And he goes, no shot. And I go, would you like to see my side deck? And he's like, no, I believe you. It's just not in the list anymore. I boarded out of it. They were like, you boarded out of Ash? What the fuck were you trying to do? And I was like, this. I was trying to do this. But it ended up being fine. It helped, I guess. I don't know. It didn't help because we lost anyway. But you know, it was a fun match. And of course, that team is like 3 duelists who are individually 50 times better than any of us, so it makes sense that they moved on. But it was like, God, I don't know. I'll talk about it a little more generally after I wrap this. So we, that's it. There's nothing left in terms of stuff you can do over the course of the day. So we all go our separate ways. We head out, and then we all go to a casino and do very well. We all came out way ahead. And then we came back here, and then we went to bed. And now it's today, bada bing. It's true, definitely true. Let me tell you this, chat. I walk into a casino. I like casinos. I think like the concept is fun. Playing card games for money. I play card games for money already. It's called my job, right? But maybe it's just the poor in me. But I walk into a casino and I'm like, I'm gonna get insanely tense immediately. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Think of all the money I could lose. I hate it. And I did lose some money, but his casino record worse than his YCS record? Probably not possible, I would say. Probably not possible at this point. Gage, at the event, was able to run an Edison Time Wizard and did win it. He played Vayu, and he played against, in sequence, Frog Monarch, and Frog Monarch. All the same deck, all playing Stratos, the hero frog builds. I thought that was a bad matchup, but he made it look easy. He did one insanely heads-up play where, Caius's effect is mandatory, right? So the only card in the field is, a flipped Raikou. He tribute sets a Caius and then passes, and then in draw phase flips up deck dev. And I was like, you are a genius. The deck dev got nothing. It was the worst deck dev in the history of time. No, it was it was fun. But we all I think had an okay time. The unfortunate truth is the YCS was just kind of lame. And I don't know. I'm sure you've all heard this from a million people already and don't need me to parrot another thing. But from ship to stem, things just didn't go well. The fact that we all had to wait outside for 3 hours for the doors to open, the fact that the registration line took 6 hours to fully navigate, the fact that the format works the way it does. I am such of two minds about this format. On one hand, I really appreciate the depth of understanding that's required to actually be ahead in the Snake Eye mirror. I think that the game states it produces are really interesting and engaging and have super varied points of interaction. I think it's even fun playing first while your opponent has no setup, because frequently you're going to have to navigate what you expect they have in their hand, because they are always opening 2 hand traps. But unfortunately, unlike Tier Lament format, there are hands that each deck can produce that are 5 starters and 5 pieces of non-engine. And those games are not fun and happen all the time. And the games that are fun and do get down to the nitty-gritty still take, and I'm sorry about this, 40 minutes. And as a result, every round went way into time. I feel like every duel I played with the Snake Eye deck went into time. And obviously, I'm super green on the deck. I'm not good at it at all. But even my opponents playing at what I would consider to be a reasonable pace were going into time like game 2. What are you supposed to do? That's just how hard the deck is to navigate. And unfortunately, yeah, it costs $1,200. It's rough. It feels I'm really of two minds about it. I can't tell if it's good or not. And it's strange because if you look at the list of top decks, everything but Snake Eye and Snake Eye Fire King plays very simple, understandable, completable in 45 minutes games. But this one deck doesn't, and it's the best deck by so much that you're just going to hit mirrors all day. It's rough. And then, of course, we should talk a little bit about coverage. Oh, my goodness. I didn't get to see much of coverage because it was at the fucking event, but everyone I talked to was same problems with commentary that they always have. And the fucking Sam thing. So if you're unfamiliar, Sam, and I'm working off of an incomplete understanding of what happened here, but to my understanding, Sam, at the end of one of his games went, oh, shit, goddamn, when his opponent did something cool. And they applied a game loss to the first game of his next set based on that rules infraction. It is a rules infraction, but it just doesn't feel realistic, I think my opponents over the course of the day said fuck or damn or shit or ass a billion times, and I never thought about being oh god, that's awful. And I don't. They didn't apply a game loss because of a previous game. He had multiple infractions, which is why it was a game loss. Okay, yeah, I mean, I understand that, but like the rule he's breaking is nonsensical, in my opinion. You know, I'm going to obey it at competitive REL, but like I'm also going to be like, I don't know. When someone gets a game loss for saying poopy, like shitty doo doo caca, you know, this is the game played by 30-year-olds. Um, and, you know, I don't want to speak too much on how the finals went because I don't want to get dragged into the eons of drama that it has induced. But boy, what an enjoyable final to see. Like, check out my summon limit type play. Oh, man. Oh, cool. It just really feels like there's like 2 or 3 cards that simplify the game down to a state where it's like, oh, awesome. So we're just not playing Yu-Gi-Oh today. But you know, I regardless of how it was won, I mean, you cannot take that YCS win away from the victors. So, I mean, congratulations to the 3 Ruxins for their unbelievable W this weekend. I believe is it the 6th for Ruxin? That's incredible. For someone, I mean, I really showcases 3 YouTubers in finals, and one on the same team 3 times was really impressive. And I think really showcases that you don't have to choose between being a content creator and being good, although I do. Anyway, really kind of a mid YCS in general. Like I have enjoyed hanging out with my friends. I've enjoyed hanging around Las Vegas, but the experience itself really left something to be desired. And, you know, it was way overbooked, way understaffed as ever. They couldn't run side events for a significant portion of day one because there weren't the table space necessary. I know these run at a loss, right? I know they're giant loss leaders, but like at what point do you be like, we need to invest like maybe $10,000 more into just staffing? It's rough. Is that why rounds took forever? No, I think rounds took forever because the games take forever. It's like if you have a round where one person goes to time, you can have most of it set up until that person finishes, then you run the numbers and print out the next thing. But if you finish your round and 90% of people go to time, you know, what do you do? And it feels so frustrating coming off the heels of the UDS in which I felt, no, you know, this really could be some sort of esport in the future, to this, which just repeated so many of the absolute mistakes when it comes to coverage of a premier event and hosting of a premier event, that I don't know, man. I just don't know. Should be best of one, force integration of side deck. I don't think best of one is the solution. I think the solution is, and this is just like something that is so hard to facilitate. I think no one in this chat can deny that Yu-Gi-Oh has just become too hard. It's just a game that is too complicated at a fundamental level. Even if you spend the time necessary to get insanely good, you are going to, one, run into people who are playing at pace, but do not know as much as you, and 2, still have to make enough decisions that it is feasible you could go into time game 1. That's a combination of the way that cards are printed, the things that they are allowed to do, and the interactions which Konami facilitates. I think there is a world in which cards are still interesting, fun, engaging, exciting, but a little simpler, that resolves almost all of our issues with time. And I think the widespread popularity of alternate formats like Edison really proves that type of thing is not only possible, it's kind of desirable. But you have to simultaneously make high-powered cards that compete with every card that's ever been printed before them. So what you do is you ban all the decks as they come out, you know?